are back, and we have more breaking news for you. According to ABC News, a vehicle in Donald Trump's motorcade was involved in an accident while on the way to the airport here in New York City. We don't know where at this point. We don't know which airport that the candidate was headed to. We do know that neither the candidate nor any of his family members or staff members were in the vehicle that was involved in that accident. And right now, we have no report of any injuries. Of course, we're going to continue to follow this story, and we'll have more information as soon as we get a hold of it. We continue now with our coverage of the Republican National Convention, and as we told you, a rare sight about an hour ago. The floor calm now, but it erupted into chaos after Never-Trump forces tried to change the rules. This coming after a verbal vote, and the chairman deciding not to do a state-by-state roll call vote. Later tonight, Donald Trump is expected to introduce his wife, Melania, who will give a speech. But there are some well-known politicians who are not attending this convention. Former Presidents George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, and former Florida Governor Jeb Bush, John McCain, Mitt Romney, Marco Rubio, that whole roster, they are not there. Another prominent politician missing in action, Ohio Governor and former presidential candidate John Kasich. Eyewitness News anchor Bill Ritter and political reporter Dave Evans. They are in Cleveland, and we will have live reports from them coming up on Eyewitness News at 6.
And new at 5, a serial bank robber in Manhattan on the run right now. The FBI releasing video showing the suspect. He's hit 6 banks in the city since September of last year. The FBI is offering a reward. Eyewitness News reporter Darla Miles is on the story for us tonight. She's live in Greenwich Village with more. Darla?
Sade, this Chase Bank here on the corner of West 4th Street and 6th Avenue in Greenwich Village is one of those 6 banks that was robbed. Police say that the suspect initially passed the teller a note saying that he had a gun, and now he has escalated to actually flashing a gun. They say that's dangerous, so they're intensifying their efforts to find out exactly who this guy is.
He doesn't appear outside of his sunglasses and a Kangol hat that he wears, that he appears to try to hide his facial figures, which most bank robbers do.
A hat and sunglasses, not an uncommon disguise for a bank robber, but what makes this suspect of greater concern to police is what you don't see in this surveillance image.
He shows what appears to be a small semi-automatic firearm. That's unusual in today's world in bank robberies.
The FBI is calling this guy the America's Bandit because 3 of the 6 bank jobs investigators have linked him to are on Avenue of the Americas.
So we feel that he is ramping up his violence associated with the bank robberies. So we thought it was important that we get out in front of you in the community and hopefully assist us in identifying him.
This is a map of all of the banks linked to the spree. 2 Chase banks were hit in September of last year, and then a Citibank in December. Then police say the suspect reemerged in June at a Bank of America, then in July at Northeast Community Bank and a Chase Bank.
It is an unusual case in that 3 of the cases last year, 2 in September, 1 in December, and then it goes dormant for about 6 months.
And since coming back onto the radar, police say the suspect has used a gun in his last 3 jobs, and this woman was with him in the last 2.
And it's unusual that they both are an older couple. So that's where we are right now. All of them happen in the lower Manhattan, usually on the west side of things, near public transportation.
And Chief Boyce says not only do these robberies take place here in Lower Manhattan, but they also happen in the middle of the day. So far in all 6 robberies, they've made off with a little shy of $10,000 cash. But speaking of cash, there is a reward for any information leading to an arrest, a $7,500 combined reward between Crime Stoppers and the FBI. If you recognize these suspects, please call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-577-TIPS. Reporting live in Greenwich Village, Darla Miles, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Darla, thank you. New at 5, a Jeep had to be towed out of a river in Rockland County after a man tried to drive right in it. Police say the driver of this Jeep intentionally drove into the Ramapo River in Hillburn. They say it appears that he didn't realize that there are deep spots in the river. We're told he was issued several tickets and is now facing misdemeanor charges.
A pedestrian struck and killed overnight near Kennedy Airport. Newscopter 7 was over the scene early this morning. Police say the victim was hit while walking along the JFK Expressway near Federal Circle. The driver did stay at the scene. The murders of 3 police officers in Baton Rouge has police departments around the country shifting tactics. And New York City, with its 34,000 officers, is making changes as well. Eyewitness News reporter Stefan Kim is live in Columbus Circle with more on what the department is doing to keep its officers safe. Stefan?
Well, Diana, after the ambush in Dallas and then in Baton Rouge, some say despite the new protocols, things will get worse for police officers. Others, though, say this is not the new normal. This, as Baton Rouge police officers' families are still in shock.
Unfortunately, yesterday I had the bad experience of going into a hospital room and seeing the child of one of the officers that was slain. And that little girl said this, I know my daddy is not dead. My daddy is going to come home tonight.
Baton Rouge Mayor Kip Holden having to do what no mayor ever wants to do, consoling families of fallen officers. And as Baton Rouge tries to wake up from the nightmare it faced on Sunday, cops across the nation on heightened alert. The NYPD issuing new protocols after the ambush in Dallas, still in effect after the attack in Baton Rouge. Every officer required to pair up unarmed auxiliary officers off the streets, and every precinct with an officer posted outside.
This is fairly standard procedure. It's happened throughout the history of the department for years. There were similar attacks against police officers in the 70s.
Former NYPD Commissioner Ray Kelly, though, saying this recent rash of attacks on cops is something police have seen before.
This is, believe it or not, cyclical. Certainly in my long time in policing, I've seen threats to officers or officers, quite frankly, being ambushed. And, you know, there is a heightened state of concern. And then, you know, it gets back to a level of normalcy.
But others warning, unless the NYPD makes changes, officers are at risk. The attack in Dallas reigniting the debate on whether cops should be more heavily armed. PBA President Pat Lynch says all officers first to a scene should be armed with long guns. The NYPD Strategic Response Group, Critical Response Command, and emergency service units all carry and are trained in long guns.
Statistics show a police officer is killed within the first 5 minutes of an incident. Well, it takes 7 minutes for the specialized units to get there.
And that was Stefan Kim reporting. We got breaking news out of Germany. A person on a train has gone berserk and gone on attack, leaving 18 people injured. 4 of those injured seriously. The train was headed toward the region of Würzburg. Again, 18 people injured by this armed attacker. As we get more information, we will pass it on to you. A former Yale dining hall worker who claims he smashed a window with slave imagery because it was offensive now says he wants his job back. Last month, Corey Menifee used a broom handle to smash a stained glass window with slaves on it. Yale agreed not to file criminal charges if he resigned, and he did. Now his attorney says that the university's general counsel has agreed to meet to discuss his reinstatement.
Coming up, a woman says she was forced to take a helicopter to the hospital after a serious crash, but her insurance denied paying for the ride. How 7-Year Side was able to help. Also, do violent video games make kids violent? The new study that may finally shed light on an answer.
All right, so we have dark skies to the east with heavier downpours over Long Island, and then we have brighter skies off to the west where clouds are actually thinning out over New York City. And you actually see some heavy downpours from Plainview to Long Beach. That's headed over to Fire Island, whereas the steady rain is about to come to an end in New York City. But that's just temporary because there are more storms off to the west here over western New Jersey and another line off to the north right here. And that's going to have to come into the Catskills over the next couple of hours. So we'll be tracking that. Meanwhile, we've had storm damage across the area. This is the Bull's Head area in Staten Island. Big tree down there, probably some wind gusts at 50 miles an hour as a powerful storm came through. Your AccuWeather forecast just a few minutes away on Eyewitness News at 5.